Hey team, this is Casey.
And this is Shannon, and you're listening to 8 Count Breakdown.
You're home for all things college dance, all in one place.
Today, we're breaking down what life really looks like on a college dance team.
We talked to dancers from 3 different Division 1A programs to get an inside look at the commitment, workload, and weekly rhythm of these student athletes.
Maybe you're currently or were on a team and want to compare experiences.
Maybe you're an incoming college athlete and you're curious about what your schedule might look like.
Or maybe you're a family member, friend, or fan who wants a closer look at what these dancers take on week to week.
And if a dancer sent you this episode, they may be trying to tell you why they're so busy all of the time.
In this episode, we'll provide a holistic view of what it means to be a dancer on a college dance team.
To most, these dancers are usually only seen at the sidelines at football and basketball games or center stage at UDA Nationals. But we're here to tell you that it's so much more than that.
So the first thing we want to talk about is what a typical week looks like as a college dancer. We talked with 3 members of top scoring Division 1A teams across all categories. And here's what they said their typical week looks like. We saw a lot of similarities in their practice and lifting schedules. And yes, dancers lift. If you are not a dancer or haven't been on a college dance team in a while, I feel like this is a semi-recent thing. Like, when would you say I feel like dancers started taking strength training seriously?
Oh gosh,
Or just
I don't know.
just as it started to transition to really being recognized as a sport and just how much strength training improves
Yeah.
performance.
I feel like strength of dancers has definitely gone up significantly. I
Yes,
don't think
yes.
I could give a specific timeline.
No, it's
but
just like in every sport, how like
Yeah.
it continues to get better and better every year. Strength training is now necessary in order to perform all of the skills that you're seeing on the floor.
How can we push it farther?
Yeah.
How can we get stronger? You get
Yeah.
stronger by weightlifting.
Strength training,
Like, yeah.
Lifting weights,
I
yes.
wasn't personally a strong dancer until I started
Yeah.
like lifting
Same.
weights and actually hitting the gym and doing more than just running, because running and dancing are not the
No.
same kind of cardio. And to get those jumps up, yeah, you can practice them over and over and over again and build muscle, or you can hit the gym and build muscle to achieve these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all over. Yeah. I definitely noticed a ton of improvement in my dancing and just felt better once
Yeah.
I was strength training. So each team is in the gym lifting weights in strength training 2 to 4 times per week.
Wow.
That was all 3 of those teams.
As a team.
Yes. Like required. This is part of our practice schedule is these lifting sessions. So at least 2 times a week for every team, if not 4.
Maybe more if they're doing it on their own.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would be surprised after hearing all of these schedules if they have any time to do things on their
True.
own. And I'm sure you'll agree after hearing this. It is crazy what these college athletes
Yeah.
are fitting into their weeks. They have to have an incredible work ethic and time management skills. In addition to strength training, their practice schedule through football season, the teams report practicing 2 to 4 times per week for about 4 hours on average each session. They're working on a mixture of game day and nationals routines. It seemed like, based on what they told us, that nationals routines don't take as much precedence as I thought they did kind of through their entire season. During football season, especially the first half of it, it sounds like it's pretty even. Like they're focusing a lot on game day. And we'll talk about this later, but just how the dancers talk about how it's not just nationals, how much pride they take in just being a member of the community and all of the events that they do for the school. And so that's kind of cool to hear about. So it's half game day, half nationals, and it's different for each team. So different ratios there. But each team is also attending community appearances at least once a week, sometimes up to 3 times a week, in addition to the rest of their training. So it depends on what's going on, what part of the season they're in. Sometimes they have fewer. They might not have any community appearances one week, but on average, I would say it sounded like it's about 1 per week, maybe 2. So that's a lot. And that is like all of their regular stuff, not additional things. Now going into national season. So this is where things change for every team that we heard from. This is where their focus shifts on just the routines that they're performing for nationals and very little on game day. They still have to be prepared if there is a football game, because football really does it overlaps a bit with the nationals prep. I would say like mid-December is kind of when that regular season ends and they start going into bowl games and things like that.
Basketball season too.
Yeah. Yep. Then basketball season picks up.
Yep.
So there's always things going on. So they definitely can't focus 100% on nationals routines because there always will be other things going on. But I would just say the the ratio definitely like vastly shifts in December, that
Yep,
month
so
before nationals. One team adds in 2-a-days for 2 weeks straight leading up to nationals. So 3 hours in the morning, they have a little break, and then 3 hours in the afternoon. That's what their 2 weeks look like leading up to nationals. One team shifts their game day practices to national practices and then adds in evening practices because that's a team that practices in the morning typically. And they also are a team that designates game day practices versus nationals practices during football season. Because they have that separation, they're not working on both in one practice usually, then they just shift those practices to nationals practices. So now all of their practices are nationals and they might sprinkle in a little game day. And then one team removes their designated strength training time. But just to note, this is also a team that works out and strength trains in their actual practices. Like that's how they start every practice, but they take away their designated strength training time. And then they also practice every single day of the week for the entire month leading up to nationals, which I thought was crazy.
Wow.
So they have practiced 7 days a week for an entire month, which is why they have to remove their strength training sessions because there's no time for that. They
It's
also
commitment.
said that they, like all of these days, are an 8-hour minimum of practice. And I'm assuming that means, like, you know how some colleges have like a winter break that's extra long? I'm assuming that this is one of those colleges.
Yeah.
And or they
Like
meant
between
just
semesters, yeah.
exactly. So I'm guessing that they're doing an 8-hour minimum on those days that they don't have school. That
Wow.
is very intense and very difficult on the body. And they did mention that they will add in like rest days here and there as
Yeah.
needed. So
I mean, how
that
do
you
you
would have
not?
to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly. You wouldn't be
gosh.
able to
You don't want to
push through that.
completely fatigue your body
Yeah.
like right up before nationals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they said that they get 3 days off for Christmas or like
Nice.
those holidays around
Yeah.
Christmas. And then they also mentioned how they add in fun, like holiday traditions and things to their practices to
Oh,
keep it fun and
yeah.
light and so that they're not like mentally draining too.
Yeah.
That they're kind of staying in high spirits and really bonding as a team and heading into nationals with that great mindset.
That's so important to stay on good
Yeah.
terms with your
Yes.
teammates leading up to nationals because this is the time when you're supposed to be the most united. So I think that's really special that
And
they're
yourself
finding times
too.
to team bonding and just hang out and
Yes.
not be dancing.
Yes. And then like staying in good standing with yourself too and just your
Yeah.
mental health and feeling good
Totally.
for nationals and being your best self so you can bring your best self with your team and to your team. So a
Gosh.
couple of fun facts that we found out through this too. One team starts every practice with a team timed mile run as
Ooh.
well as strength training.
Good for them.
I know, every single practice. Can you
Wow.
imagine running a mile that's timed and then doing a
Oh
little
my
bit of a workout
gosh.
and then having practice? These
Wow.
dancers really these are crazy athletes.
I'd be
And
curious
then
what the time is.
I know, better than mine. And then one team has, and just a reminder, this is in addition to all of their regular practices, all of their lifting sessions. They also have ballet and Pilates 2 to 3 times a week and technique and combo classes 2 times a week, like through most of the
Whoa.
season. That's where I'm like, I don't know how you fit in anything else. You've got practices, you've got workouts, you've got ballet and Pilates, you've got technique and combo classes. That's a lot.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean that these are top scoring teams.
It shows.
Yeah. To kind of wrap up, I just think all of this information not only legitimizes dance as a sport, if anyone listening had any doubts before, but I think it also shows why these teams are winning. So they're working their butts off leading up to nationals, doing all of this while still keeping up with schoolwork, representing their community and their university. And honestly, this is what I'm going to picture now when I see their routine hit the floor at nationals. Like I'm going to picture them in the studio for 8 hours, 4 weeks straight before that performance. And just like
how can you
all the
not?
blood, sweat, and tears that they're putting into these. I mean, you know it, but just like hearing exactly what it looks like, I feel like is just takes it to another level of what these dancers are doing.
That's crazy. And I mean, that doesn't even factor in that these are college students.
Right. They're keeping up with their schoolwork. They're trying to have a college experience too, which like
live their
social
lives,
life.
see their families. Like these are you said it in the beginning, but time management is a trait that these athletes have to learn quickly in order to keep their head above water. It's got to be so
There's
challenging.
no way to make it through without having those skills. So you either have them before or you figure them out as you go because it's the only way through.
You know, with that kind of workload, it naturally brings up the question, what is the most challenging part of being a college dancer? So we asked them, as a college dancer, you're faced with many challenges. Like Shannon mentioned, these athletes have very busy schedules with practices, lifts, ballet, everything, football games, basketball games,
Community appearances.
community appearances. school so much more. So one dancer actually mentioned that balancing the busy schedule with the workload of being a college student was one of the most difficult parts of the experience for them. And frankly, hearing about their busy schedules made me wonder how they balanced the two. I feel like it's something that you don't truly understand until you're in it and you have to face it. From an outsider perspective, I just have no idea how they're doing it, but they clearly are. A lot of these teams make the dean's list.
I was going to say, like, a lot of times they'll post like their average GPA and it's like 3.8 something. Like, it is
Yeah, it's
very
great.
impressive. Yeah.
So these dancers are held to a high standard, not only athletically, but also academically. So this dancer actually mentioned she majored in chemistry. And even though it was hard, she did end up graduating with her degree in chem. And she said that she enjoyed every minute of it. And a little side note, chemistry is considered one of the most difficult college majors, with an average GPA of all, if you take all the chem majors and you average their GPA, it is 2.78
Wow.
because and
so hard.
so that is like the lowest average. Not saying that this dancer did. It sounded like she performed extremely well in her studies.
It just shows you how hard
It just shows you
is.
how hard
Yeah.
it is. So you're doing that, and a typical week as a chem major is about 40 to 50 hours of coursework.
Oh my.
And most universities recommend 2 to 3 hours of study time for every hour spent in class. So you're doing the coursework. You usually have, like, starting your freshman year, I think, about a 3-hour lab every week, plus all the studying that you have to do, plus these lifts and these practices and these ballet sessions and everything. It just,
You want to know the other thing that just popped into my head too?
yeah.
Is like sleep.
Oh my God.
So, like, you know how when someone who's not a student athlete in college is probably sleeping sometimes 4 to 5 hours, and then they just wake up the next day and they're like, I'll get through it, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, you can't as a student athlete. Like, your body has to recover. You cannot function
You will not function.
with all of the things that you're putting your body through all week. Like, you would not be
have
able
to find time to sleep.
Exactly. And like, that's another thing that they're having to sleep more than the average college student.
I wish we had done the math to figure out how many hours they're
Yeah.
spending, plus how many hours like a chem major would have to do on top of that.
Honestly, in my head right now, the math is like,
It's not mathing.
no, it's not. Like,
The math is not mathing.
the hours per day is like 52 hours per day that they're spending all of the different things that they are doing.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
It's impressive. But, even though that it's tough, we've had multiple dancers mention that it's all worth it to have the full college experience that you want and be able to have the job that you dreamed of having after, because that is a goal in these athletes' minds. I want to have the dance career that I want, but I also want to make sure that I'm set up for success when dance is done and I can go do the things I want. So you're committing all this time to making sure that you can be the chem major that you want to be while still having these insanely busy schedules. So it's incredibly impressive and hard to wrap your mind around as someone who hasn't experienced a schedule like that, but it just makes it all the more impressive. So another dancer mentioned that the social media attention was one of the most challenging things to face being on the team. So dancers in recent years have been the ones that are really kind of being the guinea pigs and being the first ones to navigate living in the public eye, because with dances going viral at nationals the last few years, they've gained a lot of attention. They've lost a lot of privacy. She mentioned that her and her teammates started to refrain from viewing comments to avoid exposing themselves to the negative, judgmental, and frankly, unnecessary opinions to save themselves the mental strain. She even said at nationals, removing phones and technology helped with their mindset significantly. And we will be talking about social media a lot more in episode 3. So make sure you tune into that because we'll dive a little deeper into just kind of how social media has changed the dance world. And we'll dive a little deeper into kind of the pros and cons of it. But our third dancer that we talked to mentioned that the most challenging thing for them, a perspective of being a college athlete and just a college student in general, that is a challenge that many face. And that's moving to a new state, away from family, friends, not knowing anybody, not knowing where anything is, and just the challenges that come with that. Can't imagine how much that just rocks your world. I mean, you moved out of state for college.
But my parents moved
Your parents moved
at
with
the
you.
same time.
Yeah, so that helps. But when you move, this dancer moved cross country too.
Yeah.
So it's a significant flight, or very long drive to get from point A to point B, and you're away from all your family, all your best friends.
Everything you've ever known.
Yep. And you're just in this unfamiliar place, not knowing anyone, a significantly busier schedule than you had in high school. And if you throw in having a different climate on top of it, this dancer went from having a hot climate that they grew up in to a cold climate, which living in a cold climate all my life.
It's not for the weak.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Not that people living in warm climates are weak, but just like
No,
it takes a while to adjust. And
it's
even when
tough.
you've lived in it, it still takes time every winter to adjust to how cold it actually gets and how long it stays cold,
Yeah.
the darkness, and just all of it.
Today it was 50 degrees and it felt warm.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was sweating
Yeah.
when I went outside.
50 degrees is
because
warm.
it's been 30 degrees recently. I just can't imagine like having this just like shock to your system of this whole new place. And you have an entirely different lifestyle than you've ever had before. You don't have your friends or family around. But she also mentioned that she's learning a whole new style, pom, which many dancers don't do until college. It just keeps adding up and it's a lot and it's a challenge, but you figure out how to get through it. And luckily, as a college athlete, hopefully you're able to quickly get a group of people around you and a solid support system of like-minded people, and you all are going towards the same goal and you share the same passion. And that's really something that in theory is really easy to bond over. It isn't the same as having your parents or siblings or your high school best friends there, but having a group of people that are all coming together across the country to a new place, everybody just coming together over their love for their team and their school can hopefully make it a little bit easier. So between the packed schedules, the constant social media pressure, and the challenge of moving somewhere totally new, it's clear that these athletes are juggling a lot at once. And hearing all of that, it really shows how much goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about. We only see them on the sidelines or on the stage at nationals. So there's so much more going on. But, there's even more to their experience than just the hard parts. Beyond the grind and the expectations, these are things about each program that might genuinely surprise people. We wanted to take it even a step further and ask what's something people may not know about your program.
Yes. So getting their responses, each one was so different and so amazing. So we're going to highlight each one separately. So the first answer thought listeners may not know that their program is the winningest college dance team in the U.S. So I'm going to let the comment section go off in guessing which team that is. Another dancer thought listeners may not know how much representing their community means to them. So we kind of talked about this at the beginning, but just as fans of college dance, we are mostly seeing their performances. You just talked about this. We're seeing them, like if we're watching performances, we're watching like a halftime of a football game or their UDA performance. Like those are the two things that we're seeing, especially on social media too. Like those are the things we're interested in or are being fed to us. Are these teams' halftime performances or UDA college nationals routines? And so we're not seeing all that behind the scenes, all of the things that they're doing for the university, for their community. And just they wanted people to know that being a part of the college dance team means that they are ambassadors of their university in every single thing they do, not just community appearances and events, but also in their personal lives, their social lives, including social media. They take this very seriously in their classes. They are an ambassador for the university and representing their not only university, but also dance team in every single thing that they do. Even at their workplace, they were saying like this is just so important to them to represent this school. And so all of it to them is what makes this experience and defines being on a college dance team. It's not just UDA Nationals. It's not just the dancing.
Workplace?
Yeah.
They have jobs too?
Yeah, apparently.
My gosh.
Add that into our math. It's now 57 hours per day for them to fit in all of this. And then the last dancer that we talked to mentioned that as college dance fans, it can be easy for us to follow the success of a team and just the incredible culture that's created in a successful dance environment, but not realize how much your work ethic is pushed and tested on these teams. I think they made a great point that for most students, college is the first time they're living independently. So you kind of talked about that, like moving away from everything you've ever known, but just, I mean, for everyone in general, even if you're maybe staying in the same state or nearby family, it's still kind of your first time on your own, depending on your situation.
Mhm.
Everyone's is different. But for the most part, you're having to decide for yourself how you want to show up in the world. How much do you want to push yourself to be a better student, a better athlete? And they just said that will determine your success on a college dance team. How much are you willing to push yourself? And that is all dependent. It has to come from within. It's not other people telling you, okay, now we have to take you to this practice and we have to go to this thing and you need to practice 30 minutes a day at home. And again, it's different for everyone's situation, how much their caregiver is involved in their athletics, their activities, their
Mhm.
schooling. But a lot of times, I would say more often than not, you have someone there that's kind of pushing you along and
Yeah.
helping you achieve the things you want to achieve. And that's how you learn, right? Having that support. And wow, look, I
Mhm.
practiced 3 times this week on my own and look how much better I performed. Once you get to college, this is, I mean, they were just talking about how now this is all from within. So that's where they really, really grew. And it takes it to another level. It's not just like, okay, you're living independently and you're having to figure out this schoolwork on your own. We've
Mhm.
been talking about this all episode, but it's 100 different things that you're having to figure out, push yourself to your maximum,
Yeah.
past your maximum. And so you have to give sometimes more than you feel like you have, and that's where you're really tested. But they mentioned that being on their college dance team defined their college experience, and it was just the most rewarding thing they have ever done. That the life skills that they transferred from being on their college dance team to life after college were invaluable and will continue to serve them for the rest of their lives. So they just could
Mhm.
not say enough great things about it, but just that people don't know and don't see how much these dancers are
Yeah.
pushed. They love what they do, but it is really, really hard.
We've talked so much about the challenges and how nearly impossible it all sounds,
Mhm.
but every single person that we talk to
Wouldn't trade
wouldn't
it
trade it for
for
the
the world.
world.
Yes.
And
You
it
could tell
just
in the way they spoke about it that it was just
they look back and they say, I did that. Or they're
mhm.
currently on the team and they say, yeah, I'm doing that right now. And it's so fulfilling. It's so special. And I love what the final dancer said about life skills because it
Mhm.
truly is something that you carry on because
Yeah.
life is always busy. And that's something I'm learning right now. Now, being in my post dance career myself, life is always busy. It's always busy.
You can
And
take away the practices and the lifting and the required schedule, and it's still
mhm,
things are gonna fill in those spaces,
it
and
fills in
yeah.
somehow, some way. And being on a dance team like that really shapes how you schedule your week, even though life is always busy.
I think it matures you in a different way too. Like a lot of
Totally.
times, like when you're going through college, you're figuring it out, right? You stumble, you
Mhm.
fall, you make mistakes. And a lot of these student athletes don't have the privilege of doing that because of how packed their schedule is and
Mhm.
how far they have to push themselves. I feel like they just become these much more mature students and
Yeah.
young adults sooner than maybe some non athletes do.
Yeah, that's something that I noticed about all of our responses too was every single one of them sounded so professional and
Hmm.
so mature
So well
and
spoken the way
just
they
yeah,
yeah.
they had so many nice things to say about their programs, but they also were able to reflect and be like, this was really challenging, but we conquered it together as a team. And I just thought that that was really, really awesome how well rounded these individuals are. And it shows
Yeah, it
in
does.
everything
Even
they do.
just in the small interaction that we had
Yeah.
with them, we could see how many skills they had gained through their experiences as
Yeah.
a college dancer.
Wow. So hearing directly from these dancers across these programs really has painted the full picture of what it means to be a dancer at a Division 1A level. The commitment, the sacrifices, the pride in representing their universities. It's so much more than what we see on the sidelines or during those 2 minutes on the nationals floor. And honestly, it just deepens our appreciation for these athletes and the sport of dance as a whole.
If you're a dancer, a coach, a parent, or just a fan of college dance, we hope this episode gave you a new perspective and maybe even a deeper respect for the work these athletes put in. I know it did for me.
And if you loved this episode, do us a favor and share it with your team. Send it to a friend or post on your story so more people can understand what life in college dance really looks like.
And because we want this to be a community driven show, we'd love to hear from you. So send us a DM with a topic you want us to break down next or a question you want answered on a future episode. And I just want to take a second to thank the dancers that responded to our questions and just gave us a glimpse into what their weekly life looks like because we couldn't have done this episode without you and we can't continue push this sport forward and
Mm-hmm.
just share the amazing things that you all are doing on your teams without you. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. It was so helpful in today's episode. But with that, thanks for breaking down life as a college dancer with us. To stay on beat with all things college dance, make sure you follow us on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok to keep up with all the dance trends.
And please subscribe to our Spotify and YouTube and leave us a quick review.
Today's episode of the A-Count Breakdown was written and produced by Casey Rush and Shannon Hill, editing by our team.
Information referenced in this episode was compiled from 3 wonderful current and former college dancers. We are so grateful to this dance community for all the support.
We'll catch you right back here next time for all things college dance. This has been
A Count Breakdown.